guys, it's Leah. Welcome back, or welcome if you are new, and welcome to me reorganizing my entire home library. I have been so excited to do this for so long. I moved into this flat, I want to say nearly a year ago, and I was never 100% happy with the way that I organized my shelves. I recently acquired this smaller shelf behind me courtesy of my mum, and I thought what better excuse than to organize my entire home library than when I have a new shelf. So that is what we are doing today. I've stripped all of these shelves. All of my books are absolutely everywhere. So in terms of where my books are, these were the majority of the books that were on my shelves previously when I took them off. Not all of them, but definitely the majority. Also, hi. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely could have done this in a more accessible way. I did kind of take them off in terms of like where they were on the shelves previously. So for the most part, genres are together or very close together. Like all of these are sort of like my fiction, my literary fictions. Magnolia Park series is definitely not part of translated fiction, but alas. We have some fantasy books, some more fantasy books, some thriller books, and then just a little bit of everything. So the majority of my books are stacked here, and then on the other side of the room, kind of on the other side of my bookshelves, we have a couple more stacks here of books that were originally on the shelves. In terms of what we have on the bottom, on the two larger shelves, I have already added some books here, just ones that were on the bottom previously. There are some books that I'm selling on Depop, some books that I don't really care to have on show, and I just kind of wanted to put them at the bottom because these aren't mounted to the wall, and I obviously don't want them to fall over. So these two are probably not changing, but that is all that I have on my bookshelf now. And yeah, in terms of how I'm organizing them, I still think I'm going to do it by genre, but because there is now more space, I'll probably be able to like spread it out a little bit more. Definitely now need more than like 1 or 2 shelves of fantasy, just because I've been reading so much fantasy lately, so I've been acquiring more fantasy, which is a great problem to have, but it does mean that I definitely need more than 1 or 2 shelves for it. So that is all I have planned. Other than that, completely winging it. Let's just get started. I have absolutely no idea where to start. I think I know that I still want sort of fiction here, so I'm gonna start maybe with that. Okay, I think that these are all of my like outright fiction books, adult fiction, literary fiction, so we'll start with these shelves. Oh, big hardbacks will apparently not fit on this shelf. That's fab. Guys, if you can hear a little beeping, there's a car outside. Please ignore that. But I think for the most part what I'm doing is for the top 2 shelves, I'm just doing like adult fiction. This shelf, I want to do more translated fiction. I own a lot of translated fiction, but a lot of the ones are actually in the bookshelf in my room. So I don't think I'm going to have enough translated fiction for like a long here, but I definitely want to make this one translated fiction. I always acquire a lot of translated fiction, so it will be good to have the space. Right now that's the plan. I'm happy with it. In terms of like an order for these, I'm just chucking them and doing what looks good. I just realised that I have quite a lot of hardback normal adult fiction down this stack here, but I'm going to keep the hardbacks here. We're going to do that before I forget that they're all down there and then I end up moving it all about. Honestly, buying books is fun until you have about 700 to just reorganize in like an hour. I found more fiction paperbacks. This is just good to know and a little reminder as to what is on my TBR. I think that I have really underestimated how many books I have. I've kind of just added, not even all of them, onto the shelf just to kind of get a bit of an idea as to where I want everything, and I have no idea. All I know right now is that I used to have kind of all of my adult thrillers and like horror-y sort of books at the top here. I know I definitely don't want them there anymore, just because when the light hits, all of the covers and the spines are dark, and I feel like I should have a mix of brighter colours more at the top of the shelves just because it makes more sense in this room. In terms of these, I think I'm going to put them more towards the bottom for sure. That is what I'm going to do next, just because I know I'm 100% certain that that's where I want them, so I'm going to do that now. Guys, I had a little bit of a snack break because it was taking me so long and I kind of just needed to step away from it to come back and then check how I felt about it. And as always, every time I move around my bookshelves, and I think I've only really done like one reorganization before, which was when I first got these shelves in this flat. I never really liked the way that it looks to begin with, which is definitely the case for this. I have a lot of space, which is good, is what I needed and I wanted. But because of that, I don't really know where specifically to put everything. But I do think that for now, I'm happy with this. There are parts of this that I really like, especially these two shelves. These shelves, I don't really know how I feel about like the Magnolia Park series down like this in a stack. And just above it, we have another stack. If you don't think that looks good, please let me know. If you think that there is a way that I could best do this, feel free to comment it. Honestly, I could do with the help. So if you have a way that you think this could look really good, please let me know. But yeah, I'm going to bring you closer so that you can see each individual shelf and I'll tell you what I've done, why I've done it. If there are also any books, I asked you guys recently what reading vlogs you would want to see and that I should prioritize, and most of you said you wanted to see a video where I read my physical TBR, like I mood read for a week from my physical TBR, and I definitely will do that. I definitely want to start a video series on here where I read solely books on my physical TBR. So if you see any books on these shelves, obviously you don't know if I've read them or not, but comment which ones you would like to see me read. Even if it turns out I have already read them, it doesn't matter, but I definitely want to do a video where I read books from my physical TBR and I kind of like pick different ways in which I choose what I read. And for the first one, it could be really fun if you guys choose which one I read. So if there is a book on here that you like, that you want to see me read, or whatever reason, please comment it down below. You'll be a massive help. But yeah, let me show you each individual shelf. So to begin with, on the right bookshelf, we have the top shelf, which is mainly just adult fiction. Literary fiction, we have a whole array of different types of fiction. I honestly love the way that this looks. Some of my all-time favorite books are here, so I love it. We then just have a little shrine for Jacqueline Hartman, who wrote I Who Have Never Known Men, which is one of my favorite books ever. I kind of like the way that this looks. I think it looks quite decorative, which is what I wanted with this shelf. And then one more along, we have another shelf of adult fiction. Again, a big array of all of these. We have my Taylor Jenkins Reads books and just a bunch more that I have and haven't read. I'm not 100% obsessed with the way that this looks, so if there's a way that I could organize it, please let me know. One down from this, again, we have a random array of adult fiction. We have most of my big hardback adult fictions just because they don't fit on here, and then some paperback ones that didn't fit up here. I obviously have quite a bit of space, which honestly I'm really happy with because I always acquire adult fiction. I always need space for it, so I'm happy with the space here. One more along, we then obviously have the Magnolia Park series. I adore the Magnolia Park series. I just thought it could look quite cute like this. As I said before, I don't really know if I like the double stacked for like this shelf and this shelf. I think also because my romance books aren't on these two shelves, it could kind of look a little bit out of place, but I like the way that this looks for now. And then back to the right bookshelf, we have a bunch of translated fiction works. I love translated fiction. I am always getting and buying translated fiction, and even though it only fits on this one shelf for now, I will definitely mix things around once I need some more. But obviously the Murakamis are stacked like this. Again, I could always lift them up, but I love this shelf. I love translated fiction. I think that they are always the most gorgeous covers and spines, so I think that it looks so nice. For the third row, I've tried to keep it like exclusively fantasy, especially this shelf is fantasy hardback. I have a mix of Fairy Loot books, Waterstones exclusives, normal hardbacks, Illuma Crate. We have a little bit of a mix of everything. I've read half of these ones. I haven't read Swordcatcher yet, and I have 2 copies. I have the hardback proof and then the Fairy Loot edition. Get to read Alone With You in the Ether, the entire The Atlas 6 series and Masters of Death. I have not read Ruthless Vows, and actually that should go second. And I haven't read Slewfoot yet, but I'm excited to read a bunch of these. In the middle of the third row, we have my Once Upon a Broken Heart books. I obviously did a video where I read the entire series back to back. This series has now taken over my life. I initially got these editions to read. Obviously the third book isn't out in paperback yet, which is coming, which is good because I actually have an extra space. And I obviously read the third book in hardback. I then bought the original hardback when Hod Escape were kind of doing their Vault edition, like reprint of it. And then for so long since finishing the series, I've wanted to get a hardback of the second book for so long, and I recently got hold of 2. I'm so happy about it. For that, I obviously wanted to Face It Out because this was my favourite in the series, one of my favourite books that I've read so far this year, and I adored it. That is my little Once Upon a Broken Heart shrine, and then onto the last shelf on the third row. It is one of the most empty ones, so again I went for the hardback sort of fantasy. Honestly, all of these, other than these 2 at the end, which are both books I loved, are Fairy Loot editions. I am subscribed to Fairy Loot. I am also currently a rep for Fairy Loot, so I will no doubt fill this up fairly quickly, but again, I'm happy that I have the space. For now, it just looks a bit bare. Going down once more, we have most of my fantasy paperbacks, other than at the very left, we have all of my V. Schwab memoir books, which are a mix of paperbacks and hardbacks. Honestly, I don't think I've read most of these. I've read Vicious, I've read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, I've read A Study in Drowning, One for My Enemy, A Tempest of Tea, and The Serpent and the Wings of Night, and Powerless. But other than that, I haven't read so many of these. So many of these are such anticipated reads for me, so I'm so excited to get to most of them. But those are most of my fancy paperbacks. In the middle of this row, as you can see, I have an extensive array of genres. Literally nothing there, which I don't really know what to do, but for now I just put this plant so it doesn't look terrible just being so bare. And then the last shelf for the fourth row is my romance shelf. So these are all of my romance books. I really don't own too many romances. I do have some like hidden, you will see in a second. Those are more seasonal romances that I may have already read that I don't really want on show, but these are the majority of my romance books. Some that I'm really excited to read from here are Wild Love by Elsie Silver. I've never read an Elsie Silver book, so this will be my first. Really excited for The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Marina Zapata, Happily Ever After by Lynn Painter, which actually should go next to the other Lynn Painter book, and I haven't read this series yet, which I'm very intrigued about. Then I have my thriller books, my horror books. Most of these spines tend to be on the darker side, which I don't mind. I actually love the look of, but that's why I kind of wanted to move them down slightly. They used to be at the very top of my shelves. Again, I don't think I've read the majority of these, but there are some on here that I'm really excited for, including The Fury by Alex Michaelides, the Lisa Jewell that everybody raved about, Eyes, Guts, Throat, Bones I heard good things about, They Never Learn. Both of the Katrina Wards are probably two of the books that I've had on my TBR the longest. I still haven't read them, but I've heard really good things about them. You'll need to read Don't Fear the Reaper by Stephen Graham Jones, and I also have The Midnight Feast, which is a proof of the new Lucy Foley book coming out this year. So that is my thriller and horror shelf. In the middle here we have a very miscellaneous shelf. As I said before, these for the most part are more like seasonal romances, Christmas romances that I don't always really want on show or don't care to have on show. We have some proofs here, books that I'm excited to read, and some more proofs here that I'm excited to read. I don't really know why I didn't stick out the spines, if I'm being honest. I just like the look of this, so I thought I would just go with this vibe here. And then the last big shelf that I'm going to show you is kind of like my young adult shelf and then like my manga shelf. Honestly, these should probably switch because I don't really like the fact that they're kind of separated. Yeah, that's better. We have my Heartstopper books, my Maureen Johnson books. I love this series so much. My Holly Jackson books. We have an odd one out for this shelf, which is The House in the Cerulean Sea, which I still haven't read. I don't know if I ever will read at this point. Then we have my Junji Ito books, which I love having here. I love the way that they look on a bookshelf, and that is kind of it. That's like very random too. And then you can't really see, the lighting is terrible here. As I said at the beginning, these two like big shelves here are just ones that I kind of had already there. Here I've put some more graphic novels and some more manga just because I didn't really know where else to put them, and they look quite nice at the bottom. So yeah, that is it for my reorganization. This took so long. I definitely didn't film the end of the process. As I said, I'm definitely happy with a lot of this. Definitely think it also needs some work, so if there is anything that you think I should do to kind of make it look a bit better, I'm all ears. Also, definitely let me know if there are any books on my shelves here that you would like to see me read in, as I said, my physical TBR vlog. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you watched until the very end of the video but you don't really know what to comment any stack of books emoji. I feel like that is always the most fitting for these types of videos. If you did enjoy this video and you are not yet subscribed, it would mean the world if you did consider doing so. We have so much fun over here and I would love to have you here. Thank you again so much for being here and for spending some time with me. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again very, very soon with another video.